welcome to Outrageous once again. Last week we were spending time talking about the horror event down under. And before we leave that, Maurice, some people, some commentators saying it's a watershed. Big event and things are going to go in the right direction. Well, whether that's hope, I don't know. But do you regard it as a watershed?
The way I look at it is, my mind hasn't changed one bit. I totally and utterly blame the rise of anti-Semitism in the world today, including Bondi Beach, totally and utterly onto politicians, not onto Hamas, not onto terrorists, not onto madmen, except the I think that when you see people like Starmer and people like that making announcements, they recognize the state of Israel. The most ridiculous thing that you ever imagine, the state of Israel. I'm sorry, the state of Palestine. Did people not, are they so stupid that they don't understand that in 2003, 2005, Israel handed Gaza, by the way, Gaza was owned by the Egyptians, not by the Palestinians. They lost it in the 1967 war, and an agreement was made between Israel and Egypt. And Israel, as a mark of goodwill and peace, said, here, take Gaza. There's the state of Palestine. You've got your state. We have a two-state solution. No one can argue with that. Israel pulled out. Israel pulled out. Let me just tell you some of the things. You can see it on YouTube, but not like one of the Hamas propaganda bullshit. Excuse my language. But you can see it on YouTube. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, were seen to be dragging Israelis out of their houses in Gaza. That was their homes. Also, they dug up all the Jewish bodies in Gaza, and removed the bodies out of Gaza because of worry what the Palestinians might do or might not do. They also had a multi-million-pound business to the Palestinians, which is the flower business. Flowers. There was dozens of greenhouses that were being exported all the time. Okay, so they left Gaza free. With no army there, no Israeli there, no Jewish people there, no Jewish bodies there, nothing. As soon as this announcement was made, billions of dollars started to pour in aid, people who wanted to support the Palestinians. Good, good. They had an election, and they decided to vote in one of the most dangerous terrorist organizations in the world, like ISIS, like any of these. This is who the Palestinians chose to run their state to be. As soon as Hamas took control, they went around murdering up to 1,000 Palestinians, FIFA, which is opposition to Hamas, and the PLO, Yasser Arafat's army, if you want. And they were murdering all of them, any opposition. As soon as they'd done that, they then set up the largest and most dangerous terrorist hub in the Middle East. Nothing about a state. There's only one state. They don't want a two-state, these terrorists. They want a one state. That's from the river to the sea. Not interested in two-state. These billions that poured in, what did they do with it? They built tunnels longer than the London Underground and twice the size of New York subway. The size of Gaza, all these tunnels had to run under hospitals, schools, and residential blocks. Had to. There's no argument about that, because you couldn't run that 500,000, whatever it is, 500 miles without doing that. They used child labor, or can be seen on the thing. Any opposition got shot, got killed, and Hamas took the billions and started, well, I think it was probably Qatar, Iran supplying arms, rockets, and everything. And from day one, they were attacking Israel. From day one. I'm not saying that Israel are goody-goodies. I'm not saying that Israel haven't made faults. I'm not saying that Netanyahu is a wonderful person. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking facts. And this war was going. when this war was going on, people were saying, commentators, see, Israel want to take Gaza. No, no, Israel had Gaza.
Yeah, the other thing that's come out of this, Morris, is that there are a lot of frightened, understandably, Jews worldwide because they don't know what's coming around the next corner.
I saw a frightening thing the other day. Well, I was very frightened. I think it was in Paris. I can't remember, somewhere in Europe. And you know that the Muslims have grown in population throughout Europe. Now, let me make one thing clear. I don't blame all Muslims, nor Jews, nor Christians for what's happening. Not all, see the word all. But what I am noticing is that now, well, this thing I saw in Paris, I think it was Paris, they went out on the street, they do their prayers. No one knows why they do that, by the way, but it is assumed they want to show their power, stopping all the traffic out, because right next to the mosque they do it. Instead of going into the mosque, they go on the street and do it. There's nothing in the religion to say you should do that, nothing. And one of them has been interviewed and said, why you, there's like 400, 500 of them. Why are you doing it out here? And he said, we're waiting for the signal. And he said, what signal? He said, work that out yourself. It couldn't be clearer than day what's going on around me. It couldn't be clearer than day. We're outnumbered.
In all this, Morris, I don't know how Starmer sleeps at night, frankly.
I
because
agree.
he's only got one aim, and that is to get the votes. There's 6 million in the UK Muslim votes. There's 250,000 Jewish votes.
So
Game
who'd you
over.
pick? Game over. Game over. But what he doesn't realize, what he's doing, he's fanning the flames of anti-Semitism.
I think he does realize.
He just, I tell you who realizes is Trump. I'm not his greatest fan, but he's screaming at Starmer. Immigration, you know, it's happening. I think Europe's in a terrible state, by the way. Terrible. I think Europe should put Trump there because, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not a fan of Trump's, but I think that his attitude might frighten the bejesus, that's an Irish word, by the way, the bejesus out of the terrorists walking around taking over everything. I think he might. I know he threatens a lot and does very
He
little, but
did, as you well know, send them a 33-page letter last week and said basically in 20 years you'll be overrun.
20 years?
Within 20 years you will be
They're
overrun.
overrun now. What are you talking about?
I mean in percentages. Basically, there will be less white people than black, and there will be more Muslims than Christians.
Look, so I'm
And
drinking,
this is intentional, Morris.
of course.
When
We're waiting for the signal.
Well, Europe immediately rejected it with no argument, no cogent argument at all. They just rejected it. But I'm sorry, the whole thing is wrong in Europe, and they do appreciate it at the top level, exactly what can be done, but they won't. There's a blindness and there's a fear. And the fear is, of course, that we've all got to be submissive. Well,
Okay, go on.
submissive, no. The Christian attitude is forgiveness and love and kindness and tolerance. But
Doesn't work.
do we draw a red line and say so much and no further?
No, look, it's crystal clear. It's crystal clear what's happening. The only country that I see making any sense at all, well, I think Poland, people think are cruel because they won't allow any immigrants, no Muslims in. That's it, none. That's it. You've seen the Prime Minister. No, that's it. No argument. People say, but don't vary anything to me. We don't have any problems here. That's the end of it. The end of it. But Germany also, surprisingly, has done a few things in the last weeks or so. First of all, they've said, I think it was yesterday, no, any marches, anti-Israel or whatever you call them, marches on the streets, are not allowed to use megaphones anymore. So you can't be shouting to the river, to the sea, or whatever. It's banned. It's against the rules. I've watched German police seeing these people wearing what I call it's a sort of the what did you call the German thing, the swastika. I call the scarf the modern day, the one, it's Yasser Arafat scarf. That's the signal, a sign. I call it the swastika of today. You see the police attacking people all the time and tearing those scarves off them in Germany. Germany have said if Israel is banned from the Eurovision, they're pulling out. Good on you, Germany. Bringing in politics into music, entertainment is a cheap, nasty, and the only thing it's going to achieve, as I said to the Irish government, which I wrote to them, the only thing you can achieve, you don't stop anything, is hatred. That's all. Hatred. You know, in Dublin, we have Herzog Park. Herzog was the Prime Minister, President of Israel. Prime Minister, President Herzog. And he was born in Belfast. He was brought up in Dublin, and he became the first president of Israel. And the Irish were so proud of that, they named a park in Dublin called the Herzog Park, which is there now. Now the government, or the council, want to rename it Free Palestine Park. Herzog earned that because an Irishman becoming president of a foreign country and opened diplomatic things with Ireland, etc., etc. What the hell did Hamas do to deserve a Free Palestine Park? But murder, rape. What? Why? You know that people say to me, of course, you're a Jew. You only see it that way. When people say to me, genocide, where? The IDF are the finest trained military in the world, recognized, not listen up by me, recognized by the Israeli Defense Forces. If the Israeli Defense Forces had genocide in Gaza, how come there's 2.5 million Gazans still alive today? They would have finished it in 3 days. They've got the finest jets, the finest bombers. Then people, so they're all alive. They say 70,000 are dead. Yeah, maybe 65,000 are Hamas. I think it's horrible that children should die. Horrible, Palestinian children. Horrible that women should die. Horrible. Mr. Hamas, if you're listening, why didn't you let them use your tunnels to shelter from the bombing? Why? Why? Now they're showing pictures, Hamas, of the flooding and the tents being torn and the little kids on the streets of floods. You stole all their billions. Go and build them temporary houses. Get mobile homes, put them in there. They're going to spend the winter on the sand. You're meant to be leading them. You're in Qatar, living in these luxurious villas. You've got your own jet planes and cars, and you're looking and saying, oh, look at these poor Palestinians. Do something about it. The whole starvation thing, of course, that's been put aside because it was found out to be fake. It's just, and yet people are swallowing this all the time and blaming the Jews. Who started the war?
In all this, Maurice, the Western world has got to wake up. We've been tolerant for a long time. Look at everyday things like going on an aeroplane, going to an airport. The security is causing havoc. Oh, can I take this bottle with me? Shall I leave it behind? What do I do with my luggage? It's costing a fortune in delays alone. Look at the Christmas markets that have not been able to open this year because we're frightened of somebody getting in a van and running over everybody. This is all from radical
Terror.
Islam.
It's terror. You know, it's and yet people are marching in support of the terror and anti-Israel.
Exactly that.
Hamas are saying when Stammer recognized the state of Palestine, they had a fax or an email or something from Hamas headquarters thanking him for rewarding us for October the 7th. Thank you.
Yes, and Paris, I'd forgotten about this one, have actually cancelled their fabulous New Year's celebration under the Eiffel Tower. It's very special. They've
Mm-hmm.
had to cancel it because they cannot guarantee the safety of the people. This is affecting the whole world, and
But
nothing is done about it.
but the Jews are to blame. You know, what really gets under the skin about Israel and the Jews? What really nerds them so much that they could spread such hatred? They're confused how a country so small can develop the most amazing technology, medicines. They can who have been attacked by 4 countries at the same time. They can survive. They can survive. Jews have always survived, and we will continue to survive. We've done no harm to the world. What harm have we done?
Well, you
We've done
know
no.
why, Norris, and basically they're taking the extreme parts of the Quran and they're selling it, especially to the young people.
We, no, I'm not just talking about Muslims, by the way. I'm talking about the general public. The anti-Semitism has spread to every corner of the world, and But the question is, okay, let's take a parade, a march. Let's take a march, and we'll take a march, a pro-Palestinian march. It's not pro-Palestinian, it's pro-Hamas march. It all turns into violence. Take a pro-Israeli march. Have you ever seen fighting at that? Have you seen behavior like that? It's, as I said many times on this show, I used to be on radio and say there's a traffic light broken in Marbella and it's Israel's fault. Because we're a minority, a small group, because people think that we own the banks, we own the thing, we own this, we own that, we own this, we own that, we own everything. It's so untrue. It's so untrue. You take a very good film director, Steven Spielberg. You see all the Jews, you see all that. You take one person. Hollywood's not controlled by the Jews. The banks aren't controlled by the Jews. You take out one person. But why? Let's say the Jews do control everything. Why? How come? How come they can get that control when you think in 46, 47, the Jews were expelled from everywhere, murdered, 6 million. How come 70 years later, whatever, right? No, more, 80 years later. Now, how come they have control of everything? How? How can they get all that for nothing? Where everybody else is hundreds, thousands of years in that country. How can they get control? They don't murder anyone.
Well, as we mentioned last week, it's in your Bible, the Old Testament. There will always be enmity between Arab and Jew, and there's no rhyme or reason for it in many cases. But don't forget, with sectarianism, it's inbred, and the kids are told awful things about the other side. They believe it, and they get more and more entrenched. Parents are educating their kids to kill.
Terrible. Terrible. Can we lighten up a little bit because it's getting very heavy here, and we can stick to the Jewish and Christian
Yes,
theme.
tell us.
I was asked the other day, what do Jews do in Christmas? Do they observe Christmas? Do they participate in Christmas? And I said, look, a great example is look at Israel. Israel is a Jewish state. the state of Israel, Jewish state. Everywhere in Israel now, today, there's Christmas trees everywhere. There's Christmas decorations, along with, of course, the Hanukkah lights. You've got the parade for Jesus. You've got the tomb of Jesus. You've got churches there. You've got mosques. What other country in the Middle East would you find synagogues, churches, and mosques side by side and allowing you to practice your religion? Only democracy in the Middle East. How many Arabs live in Israel? How many Arabs? Is it 2-something million, 2.7 million? They all work there. Some of them have senior positions. In fact, one of them, the Muslim judge, put one ex-prime minister, I can't remember his name, in jail. The army have Muslims in the army, Arabs that live in Israel. Why? If you're gay and you went to Gaza, they throw you off the roof. That's the way they kill gay people there. The biggest gay parade in Europe is in Israel. Tolerance, understanding, love instead of hate. Ah, yeah, but the war, they didn't start the bloody war. If you can't, if anyone would like to go onto my Facebook, you'll see, I can't remember who is the leader of Hamas, promising that we will repeat October the 7th again and again and again. This is him talking, not me. Until we take Israel and wipe the Jews off the face of the earth. How can you leave a neighbor with that threat there and trying to carry out the threat? It can never be. It can never be. Then people say, well, why did Israel flatten all the homes? First of all, Israel got everybody out of the homes. I remember the policy, 100,000 bodies are under the home. No, not one body's been found. The reason they flattened them, underneath those homes and hospitals are the tunnels that's storing all the armory. You can't leave those tunnels there. But the Israelis can't go down there because they were booby trapped. You know, it's so upset. Anyway, so do Jews celebrate Christmas? I've brought up in a Jewish home, but not a religious Jewish home, far from it. And I always had a Christmas tree and Christmas presents and everything. The only thing that we didn't do is we didn't go to Mass or to church to celebrate. I always thought Jesus as a kid, oh, he must be the king of the Jews. Look, he got me a Christmas present. I never thought religiously about that. And many Jewish families love the color, the wonder of Christmas, the peace of Christmas, which brings me, of course, to the subject of, you know, Putin, who thinks that Trump is Coco the Clown. Putin, people say, oh yeah, Trump, we're very close to an agreement. Zelensky asked Putin on Christmas Day, can we have a peace? It's a sort of traditional thing when the World War II, England and the Germans had peace on Christmas Day. They actually played football together. There's a video of that. And Putin said, no, we'll kill you on Christmas Day as well. No intention of peace.
Well,
so
we're drawing to a close, Maurice, but there's two
Okay.
things I've got to mention. We put in a bit of local news down here in Marbella, and it's actually international news because UK being outside the area, the Schengen area, then we have to pass through special customs at airports called an EES system.
Yeah.
And they were hoping it would work. Yes. And they put their clever machines in so you can do it. You don't need a policeman. You can do your own thumbnail or fingernail or photograph or passport. What a disaster. The 4-hour delays in Malaga airport at times.
Well, Wendy was telling me yesterday, she flew when we flew out to Dubai, where my son is and grandchildren are. She flew out yesterday. She rang me nearly in tears from Malaga Airport. And so it was incredible trying to get through the speed, the slowness. She insisted on going 3 hours beforehand, nearly 4 hours, because she knew this was going to happen. Not good
Yes,
for tourism.
but it will get right eventually. Be patient, folks, even though you miss your jet. The other
Yeah.
bizarre thing about Malaga this week, a family, we don't know who, wheeled on board their granny,
Yeah, I was
an
going to bring that
EasyJet
up.
flight.
Yeah,
And suddenly the air hostess said, she's not very well. And oh no, she's just tired, worn out with the holiday. She's dead, of
yeah,
course.
no, yeah, but the story has been advanced. She actually was alive when she boarded the plane. She died on the plane. She had a medical before they let her on, and she died on the plane. And just before the plane was going to take off, they had to taxi back, and they came and took the body off the plane. All I can think of is someone with a rug over them, with their head hanging to the left or the right, with their tongue hanging out, trying to get through the thing. But actually, she was alive, but on the doorstep of dying. But it was some story.
Well,
It hit the headlines for a
that's
while.
true. Two
Yeah.
opinions. Others say no, she wasn't dead. The reason with wheeling her on, of course, getting her body back to UK costs
For cheap, getting back cheap.
costs a fortune.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. Anyway, folks, it's going to be yeah, the evenings. Yes, are cool. Yesterday, I was coming from the synagogue. Now, normally, in Friday evening, I get back to my house from the synagogue in 10 minutes. It took me half an hour in the rain yesterday evening. It was so severe that all the cars were people could almost get out and walk quicker. They were creeping, and the roads were flooding. It was a scary, scary, scary. And if you're taking the Ronda Road like I do, there's not that many lights on the road. So when you consider the only lights you see are the lights coming towards you, which are blinding you anyway, and the lights that you have in your car, you got just inches away from a ditch on your right side or your left side. It really was a scary, scary night last night driving home in that rain. It was sheets and sheets of it. I've never known it to be so heavy. Honestly, never, never. And
Well,
there you are. And you got today's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
well, it might be down there in the mountains. It's a bit cold up here. Having said that, and finally,
Finally, finally.
there is a comparison between the UK and the Costa del Sol, and in general, the whole of Spain. But particularly, we're going to focus on Barcelona in Catalonia. There are 500 migrants normally in a big block of flats.
Mm.
The mayor complained, the people complained, and they've thrown everybody out.
How's where?
And on the streets as well.
That's worse.
Well, you compare that with Britain, whereby you're given a fresh set of clothes, a new iPhone, four-star hotel, immediate treatment in the NHS that nobody else gets.
That's the answer. Starmer. Say, okay, you want to come into our country? If we can't find you trying to sneak in here, fine. But you get nothing. Nothing. Nothing.
We get a lot of murders and rapes from these people, some of them.
You know. Yeah. So do you do what Trump is doing with the Venezuela? Bombing, killing 90 odd people already dead. He bombed them. And everyone asks the same question. How do you know there's drugs on those boats? His answer is always the same. We know.
Another story, we'll ban the Trump word and we'll talk about something else next week.
We will.
Usual, Joy Morris. Have a good week,
Same to
especially it's
you.
Christmas week.
It certainly is Christmas week. And you know, the quick Christmas joke, the teacher asked the kids, what do they do on Christmas Day? And the little Catholic boy, Paddy, put his hand up, why do we go to Mass on Christmas Day? We come home, we look at all our presents, we thank God to Jesus, and we have our Christmas dinner. Very good. Paul, the little Protestant boy, what you do, huh? We get up in the morning, we go to church, we come home, we open our presents, we look towards the sky, say thank God to Jesus, and we have our Christmas dinner. Very good. Okay, little Isaac, what do you do? Isaac Cohen there in the front. To tell you the truth, we get up on Christmas morning, we go to my father's toy factory, and we look at all the empty shelves, and we say thank God to Jesus, and we go to Mallorca. And that's a true story.
Yes, it's an old story. Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, to you too. I think Santa Claus is a rabbi anyway. Look at the state of him.
Yeah, look at the state of the stomach. Right, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Cheers.